Hello, well, folks. Today we got another little project to do. I believe we got a little fuel problem down here in the bowl. So the motor will crank, but it doesn't want to run. So my bet is the problem is usually down here in the bowl. For those of you that don't know, you get your little tip right here, save you some money. More times than not, when there's a problem with a small motor like this, the problem is in the carburetor. Somewhere in the fuel system. So, we'll get this thing apart and see what the problem is. Alright, I got y'all a little view where you can see. Let's get this bowl off of here. Put a little rag up under there. Usually there's some little bit of fuel in there that's going to leak out. Another little thing you can do, which is usually good, if you got a little, maybe a little bowl or something you can put under here and catch all that fuel that comes out, you can look and see if there's any water in it. Usually there's a little bit of water in the bowl. There we go. Now, see if y'all can see this. Okay, right here on the end of this, there's supposed to be a little round hole. And you've got to get that cleaned out. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So you've got dirt up in there, you've got to get that out. And you can see all the dirt that's in this. So that's not looking good. So anyway, other thing is, right there you can see the float is stuck. It should be hanging down, it goes up and down, okay? So that's what regulates your fuel from the fuel tank back there up to the carburetor. This is what turns it on and off. And if there's nothing, so it is going up and down, but you see there's nothing coming out of there. All right, let's see here. It supposedly has got fuel in it, and it does. So we got a beach oil carburetor cleaner here. This is good stuff. And no, they're not. They're not sponsoring me. But this is the best of all of them I've ever tried. Beach oil, chem tool, carburetor, and choke cleaner. It's good stuff. So you want to get a little of it up in there and see if you can get it opened up and get it flowing. Yeah, it's not doing anything. But the needle, I believe the needle is going up and down. Y'all have to excuse me, but this little change of weather we got my old lungs and everything messed up. Sometimes I can hardly talk. Okay, the needle is stuck. So we'll have to pull the float. So you got a little air filter right in there, and as you can see, this filter is shot. So we'll have to replace that. Okay. So if you've got to do this, in order to remove this float, you've just got a little needle that goes through here. Okay. And then when that comes out, your what they call a float valve, which is a little needle that goes up and down here on the end of this float. And apparently this is stuck, so that's not good neither. I'm telling you, it is really stuck. Alright, so get a little bitty screwdriver up in there and see if we can get this needle out. So you can't just go in here pulling and prying, and you got to be real careful with this because you will break something. Okay, I must have moved it a little because see we got fuel coming out now. So yeah, it was really stuck. It was glued up in there. The fuel sits up in these things and gets old, and it turns into what we call varnish, and you can see it on the needle. Okay, so there's what the needle should look like, you know, shiny. And certainly not black and gummed up. So that was probably the problem. Hopefully that's all the problem. And that carburetor cleaner I showed you, now that stuff will melt this. So all this gummed up stuff will melt, and we'll basically just melt it off of there. We'll get some of it up in there. And the bottom of the bowl, and hopefully we can get all that out of there, out of this little nut that holds the bowl up onto the bottom of the carburetor. It's full of it. Alrighty then. So you've got your little bowl nut here. Now what I'm using here is a tip cleaner for a cutting torch. But these are good to have around for other things because, you know, you got various sizes of, you know, needles here that you can use for these little small holes. I don't know if y'all can see this or not, but there's a hole right through there. And you see the gunk coming out of it on my finger. So, I mean, it was just full of it. There's another little hole right there. So you've got 3 of them. You've got to get them cleaned out if you're going to get the fuel to going. Alright, I believe we are ready to go back together with it. And another little thing you might want to know, okay, so the little needle, what you need to do is get that needle and put it right back where it goes inside the hole, and go all the way up, put a little bit of force, and then when you let go of it, the needle ought to fall out. If it don't, then you didn't clean something up inside this carburetor, and there's no way it's going to work if the needle is stuck. So you see the needle fell out. Okay, we'll do it again. Okay, now I'm pushing it up in there. When I let go, the needle ought to fall out, and it does. So we're good to go. There we go. Okay, another thing that you can do to see if it's going to work is go ahead, put your fuel line back on it. Okay. Now, when I let out on the float, we ought to get fuel coming out. Right now, the fuel's not coming out, which means that, you know, it's doing what it's supposed to do. The fuel's not coming out when this is up. So we let it down. We got fuel. See? We go up, no fuel. So it looks like it's going to work. Now, we go ahead, we put our bowl back on. Whoops. All right, here we go. So we got dirt daubers built up a hole through there. I know y'all can see that pretty good. Those are dirt daubers. We need to get that out of there and maybe, you know, clean this thing up a little bit. Then we're going to have to put in a new air filter. So let's get that done. All right, we got the air filter box all cleaned up. Alright, got all that back together. So we need to build an air filter. There we go. One new air filter. Alright, we should be about ready to see if it'll run. Well, look who came to visit. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed the video and come back and see me.